At the age of 62, Garth Brooks still stands on stage, the spotlight shining on his face, a gentle smile, a warm voice. Below, tens of thousands of Americans sing along to every word, tears falling down their cheeks. But the strange thing is, outside of America, almost no one knows him. Garth Brooks, the man who quietly surpassed the Beatles to become the best-selling solo artist in US history, with more than 170 million albums sold. An achievement that makes Elvis Presley, Michael Jackson, or Madonna also bow. So why has such a legend almost disappeared from global popular culture? Did he choose to hide himself? Or is there something in his past that he never wanted anyone to know? He beat the Beatles, but the world forgot his name. But the truth behind it is much quieter and far more human.
Garth Brooks was not born into the spotlight. He grew up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, a humble place where country music wasn't a luxury dream, but a way for people to tell their stories. Garth's father, Troy Raymond Brooks, was an oil man, and his mother, Colleen Carroll, was a singer for Capitol Records. She wasn't famous, but to Garth, she was proof that music could come from the heart, not fame. In that small house, every night was a show without a stage. The Brooks children were taught by their mother to sing, and their father to live honestly and work hard. But for Garth, the greatest lesson wasn't in the notes. It was in the way his mother sang, even though no one was listening. As a teenager, Garth wasn't a star kid. He played football, threw a frisbee, and preferred sports to the stage. But there was one thing that made him different. Whenever someone played, Garth was the first to fall silent. He listened. His face lit up as the music told the stories of working people, songs of loss, love, and faith. Music came to Garth not as a dream, but as a friend who entered his life quietly. When his mother died many years later, Garth still said that every song he wrote was a dialogue with her. That empathy, that honesty, is what made the Garth Brooks the person audiences would later love, not because he was a star, but because he sang like someone who understood their pain.
When Garth Brooks left Oklahoma, he didn't have much in the way of luggage, just a guitar, a few songs, and a dream of becoming a country singer in Nashville, the music capital of America. But Nashville wasn't easy. Thousands flocked there every year, each thinking they could be the next legend. Garth was an outsider, both stubborn and humble. He sang in small bars, on stages with only a few dozen people, where laughter and clinking glasses drowned out the singing. Once, an industry insider advised him, "Country is for sad, slow voices, not your type." But Garth didn't listen. He wanted to do what no one else had dared to do, bring the energy of rock to the country stage, both traditional and explosive. His opportunity came in 1989 when he signed with Capitol Records, where his mother had sung decades before. Within a few years, Garth Brooks had become a sensation. His albums No Fences, 1990, and Rope in the Wind, 1991, climbed to the top of the Billboard charts, surpassing even the biggest pop names. Songs like Friends in Low Places, The Thunder Rolls, The Dance, they were more than just country music. They were the stories of working people, of broken hearts, sung in the voice of someone who truly understood them. Throughout the 1990s, Garth Brooks was America's #1 star. He sold out Madison Square Garden in Texas, in Las Vegas. He sold out not one, but several stadiums in a row, an unprecedented record for country music. The music world had to admit that he didn't just take country to new heights, He redefined it. And that's why, after just a decade, Garth Brooks surpassed the Beatles in album sales in the US. But in the glare of fame, something else began to emerge. A fear. The fear of losing the truth in music, as everything around him gradually turned into industry.
When Garth Brooks was at his peak, he was more than just a country singer. He was a cultural phenomenon, a man who could make America cry, sing, and believe that country music was their soul. But behind the sold-out shows and millions of records was a slowly burning Garth Brooks. The pressure of perfection, the relentless tour schedule, the constant public eye, it all began to wear him down. Garth once said in an interview, "I could have the whole world singing along, but when I went home, I didn't know who I was." In the late 1990s, his marriage to Sandy Mall, his wife since his youth, began to crumble. They were estranged because of work, because of long months of not seeing each other. And when his career was at its peak, Garth faced his deepest pain, divorce and loss of direction. Meanwhile, he began to feel alienated from his own music. The success was so great that music, once a refuge, became a burden. Then one day, Garth Brooks announced the unexpected. He would retire from the music industry. No scandal, no addiction, no deportation, just stop. He said, "If I continue, I will lose myself. I don't want my daughter to remember me as someone who is always absent." In the world thought he was at the peak of his untouchable power, Garth Brooks chose to leave the spotlight. Not because he failed, but because he knew there is no glory more valuable than being a father.
When Garth Brooks left the stage in 2001, many thought he would return after a few months, but he did. No more television appearances, no tours, no albums. For 13 years, Garth Brooks lived like a normal person in Owasso, Oklahoma. He took his children to school every morning, cooked dinner, mowed the lawn. One of the greatest artists in American history became a full-time father. And when asked if he missed the stage, he just smiled. "Yes, I do, but I miss my daughter's childhood more." It was a seemingly quiet time, but it was the high point in Garth Brooks's human journey. He found himself not in the spotlight, but in the simple moments, the things that fame had once robbed. Then in 2014, when his 3 daughters were grown, Garth returned to the stage. No fanfare, no promotion. He just said, "Now I can sing without fear of losing anything." His return sent America into a frenzy. Tickets sold out in minutes. But this time, people didn't just come to hear the music. They came to see a man who had left everything behind, returning not for money, but for the love of music. No scandal, no tragedy, just one simple truth. The man who had beaten the Beatles now just wanted to sing for the people who had waited for him.
Today, when people talk about Garth Brooks, they don't just talk about the 170 million albums he sold or the dozens of prestigious awards he received. People talk about the way he lived. In a world where fame is a measure of success, Garth Brooks chose a different path, the path of inner fulfillment. He left the top not because he was afraid of failure, but because he wanted to keep what was most precious: family, peace, and honesty in music. More than 30 years later, Garth Brooks is still the only artist who makes tens of thousands of people sing songs about faith, about mistakes, and about how people find each other again. Without the bright lights, he still shines in the hearts of millions of audiences, people who see a part of themselves in him. A journalist once wrote, "Garth Brooks is not just an icon of country music.
He is proof that true greatness does not need noise. And perhaps that is why the world forgot his name. Because he never tried to make anyone remember. He just sang, as if each song was a prayer. For America, for music, and for ordinary people trying to find themselves. The Hidden Star, Garth Brooks. A man who once beat the Beatles, but chose to become a legend in silence.